and one way to experience the thrill of racing.
Oh, that's going to be a red flag. Oh no, massive crash there.
So rev up and get into gear with the Formula 2 Championship on the Fox Sports Network.
Memperkenalkan Smart Living dari First Media. Inovasi baru untuk monitor rumah melalui gadget Anda. Sistem kami akan mengirimkan notifikasi sehingga Anda selalu update dengan keadaan rumah Anda. Anda dapat memonitor dan mengubah pengaturan dari gadget Anda. Paket Smart Living terdiri dari 5 perangkat utama. Smart Living, pilihan pintar untuk keamanan dan kenyamanan hidup Anda.
Born in Indonesia, Sean Gelael, who always had the need for speed, dreamt of bringing glory to his country. He began his racing career at the young age of 15, but now at 20, the Indonesian speedster is one step closer to making his dream a reality. He's Toro Rosso's newest test driver and made his debut in an F1 car in Bahrain. And I managed to sit down with him not too long ago to talk about that very experience. This edition of In Focus is presented by KFC Indonesia, Jagonya Ayam. I guess what everybody wants to know, the million-dollar question. Tell us how things went during testing for Toro Rosso in Bahrain.
Yeah, well, it's actually been a good step. You know, it's been, for me, adapting to the car as well as finding new things about the car, being tested and everything. Yeah, I think we could say it's a positive day, and for me and for the team. So for the next test should be better as well.
For our viewers, actually, that's a total lie. It's for me, really. What actually goes on during the test? Just give us an idea.
Yeah, well, obviously different teams have different things they want to test, right? Because again, testing in Formula 1 or in motorsport is so limited. You know, you have only, let's say, 6 days in-season testing. So these types of days, they really want to take the best out of the car and try things that you wouldn't try in a race weekend, because also in a race weekend you don't have a lot of time, right? So obviously different teams focus on different things. It could be more related to the car balance in the race or performance runs for qualifying. And if they have different test items regarding the rear of the car, the brakes, because everything is new, right? New rules, new everything. So just to smoothen things out as well, maybe reliability as well. So just different kinds of things that different teams want to focus on, and then they test that.
So tell us, now you've had a chance to test an F1 car, how different are those beasts compared to the ones that you drive week in, week out in the GP2?
Yeah, well, first of all, like GP2 is already so quick. But then this year it had a bigger step, you know, in Formula 1. So like in Bahrain, it was around 8 to 9 seconds quicker, wow, which is a lot, right? But when you actually drive the car, you know, it's not such a big difference, like, because in GP2 is so it's so competitive, yeah, and like every small detail counts, and then you don't have the aids of tire warmers, sensors, temp sensors, of knowing everything. So it's more towards feel. And in F1, you know, you have tire sensors, you have temps, you have a lot more information going on, that it's a lot, let's say, a lot more information flows to the driver.
As well,
yeah, so it's in some sort it's a bit easier, but of course it's harder to go quicker, you know. You know what I mean?
We've spoken about your recent past, but give us an idea how you kind of discovered that you wanted to be a racing driver. How did it all begin?
Yeah, so when I was small, my dad used to do rallying more as a hobby, and then obviously as you watch your father and then ends up being as a hero, you know, because he did racing or rallying, and then, you know, you look up to him, and then he got a couple of good results, and then you're like, oh, I want to be just like him or even better. So then that kind of channeled me into racing. Obviously I started a bit in rallying, and then figured that wasn't my thing, and then we did go-karting and like any other driver, and then ends up in Formula 2, and then gets a test drive in Formula 1.
And what did your dad say to you when you said to him, I want to follow in your footsteps, or I want to get inside a car?
I loved it, I think, you know, because it's always his passion, and it's also something that he couldn't really do. So I think for him to support me in the same dream as him, I think he loved it.
And give us an idea, I mean, despite the dangers, what is it that makes you get into a car? What is it that kind of keeps the dangers at bay and you just forget it and just drive fast?
Well, first of all, I mean, like coming out the road, you have also danger, you know, like playing football, you can break your leg. So, you know, obviously the biggest difference is you have to focus in the long time that you're racing, and if you lose focus a bit, you know, the penalties could be big. But I think it's just more the passion, the love for the sport, you know, like in everything, if you love and you enjoy what you're doing, everything else, every risk you take or every sacrifice that you do, and it ends up being, you know, as long as you're happy, it's all good.
And aside of your father, aside of your mother, I'm sure as well, who are your inspirations? Who are the other people that have helped you get where you are?
A lot. I mean, you know, just mostly family and friends. They've been obviously really close to me, and just when you're down, especially, you know, everyone's there when you're doing good, but when you're down, they're always there. And obviously the support of the millions of fans in Indonesia. Again, I would say thank you to them.
And tell us about your relationship with Rio Haryanto. I mean, how much of it was a boost or an inspiration to see him race in F1 last season? Yeah,
Rio's around like 4 years older than me, first of all, and like we're close, but we're always racing in a different series, you know. I think I only raced like 3 races against him last year or 2 years ago. And it was my rookie year. But anyways, yeah, it's quite close. And I think what's really good for the sport of motorsport in Indonesia was it made them awake, or showed them what Formula 1 was about.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a big introduction about what Formula 1 is, and having now another Indonesian, or hopefully in the future more Indonesians in motorsport, you know, that just makes the sport bigger. And I think what we want as a driver is not only to become big in Formula 1, and obviously you want to make it, but it's to educate the people in Indonesia about motorsport, and hopefully in the future have more drivers or more engineers working in motorsport.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was sad to see him lose his seat, staying on the Rio Haryanto subject again, but has that kind of inspired you as well to get into F1, do well in GP2, get into F1 and represent Indonesia and Southeast Asia?
Honestly, you know, you just try to do the best for you, right? I think you can't change what's happened outside of you, and I think you just try to do the best what you can do. And for me, this year is to do the best I can in GP2 and to do the best result, and also in the testing with Toro Rosso. And for sure it was sad, but you know, hopefully in the future Indonesia has another one to be proud of.
Tell us what your career highlight is so far.
Well, I started in karting, and then I was champion, national champion, and Asian champion, and then I did Formula. It's like F4 Asia, and then finished I think second in the championship.
Now you're just showing off.
Yeah, and then no, and then we went straight to F3, and then just a couple of podiums there, and then last year was my kind of like my first year at GP2. Instead, I did 3 years before, 3 races before that, and then I'd had a couple of podiums and sorry, 1 podium and a couple of points finishes. So yeah, still a lot to prove, but hopefully this year should be a lot better. What is your ambition? What do you want to do? Everything. You know, obviously you want to make it to Formula 1 again. Obviously you want to win in Formula 1 as well. Yeah. But I think in the end of the day, when I look back at my career, I just want to see that I've done the best I can for me, for my country, and for everyone around me, and then you should be satisfied with that.
We'll leave it there. Sean, many thanks.
Thank you.